All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going over the PowerPoint presentations for Murachs HTML5 and CSS3 3rd edition for the AWD, or Application and Web Development 1000, Web Technologies class. I'm smack dab in the middle of Chapter 11 of 19. And now we're coming to some of the HTML5 attributes that you use for data validation. All right. All right. So, autocomplete required and no validate. Autocomplete is on by default, but I want to show you how it works. I've already created a bunch of other, well, I'm not sure how it's going to work on here, to be honest with you. But here's my form. So I'm going to type in here J. Notice it's already got Jeff, Jeffrey, etc. See that? That's because the autocomplete is on. So if I choose Jeffrey, notice it's already got a bunch of stuff that it's filled in for me. Now I can set autocomplete to false, and I can do it for the whole form, or I can do it for certain things. You notice it's never on for a password, and I don't think it'll be on in here. Okay, so if we do all this, and if I click submit, okay, I'm getting that error because that file doesn't exist right now. But if I come back here again and reset, and then come back and type in Jeffrey again, and choose that, notice it does not fill in the password. Okay? So, autocomplete, if you set this to off, you tell the browser to disable autocompletion. It can be coded for the whole form or for a control. Now, if we come back, and I have not done this yet, so I'm going to do it right now, and let's just grab, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take first name, and we're going to put required there. Notice again, it is not, repeat, it is not in red. This is an HTML5 thing. So that was the, so we'll enter this. We've got it now in there. We'll put it in for the last name too. We'll make that required. All right. So now I saved it. I'm going to go back and refresh the form. And notice that when I click submit, what happens? Please fill out this field because it's required. As soon as I put something in there and I click submit, now it says please fill out this field because it's required. So you can take 0, 1 up to all fields that you have and make them required if you're so inclined. And again, every time you do that, then something has to be put in there. There's no validate, which is a Boolean operator, meaning it can be true or false only, that tells the browser it shouldn't validate the form or the control that you put it on for that. In addition, we've got some CSS3 pseudo classes. All right. You can use :required, :valid, and :invalid. All right. I have done very little with those, but just so you know that. Input, you can say here that this would mean if you do that, then everything with an input, so your buttons, your text boxes, etc., they would now all be required if you put that in. All right. Now, the author says here, as of this writing, which is about 2016, Chrome, IE, Firefox, and Opera all support these HTML5 attributes, as well as the 3 CSS pseudo classes. Now, the next thing that's in here is they talk about regular expressions, and to give two pages to regular expressions, which is what they do here, is an injustice. But I want to mention to you a really good site that I always push people to. Actually, I'm going to show you 2 of them. The first one is, what is it? regular-expression.info, I believe. It's it. And it's a really ugly looking website, but it's very powerful and it's very well done. So let me bump that size up. There it is. You just need to type in regular-expressions.info. So this is all you need. And it brings you to the site that you see right here. So let me get rid of that. So let's say that I wanted to know about regular expressions for, let's just say for JavaScript. I can choose tools and languages and then tell it there's JavaScript. All right. There are tutorials in here on how to use regular expressions. There's a lot of information. All right. A regular expression provides a way to match what a user put in against some kind of a pattern. There's also a website I want to show you that's literally called HTML5 patterns, patternsingular.com. So let me show you that. Again, not much to look at. So that one is there. All you need is HTML5pattern.com. All right, I'm going to grab here the one that is for a postal code, which is the same thing as zip code. And here's an American zip code. I'm going to put this in, and then I'm going to go back and explain it. So let me go back to here where we've got the zip code. In fact, let me kind of set these up like I did all the other ones. So state. And this is the one I want now, is zip code. Now, what I'm going to add here, right here, is pattern equal. And you notice again, it's in black because this is a an HTML5 thing. This says 5 digits followed optionally, which means 5 digits or 5 digits, a dash, and 4 digits. All right, so let's bring this back up again. Right mouse click, and now I'm going to put in, I'll have to put in something here because it's now mandatory, so is that. But in here I'm going to put in 1, just 1. And now I'm going to click submit. Notice what I get. Please match the requested format. Now when I click, now it will match the requested format. But if I come back here and put in 1 more and try to submit it, again, please match the requested format. If I say dash number, because there should be 4 numbers there, notice when I put a 5th one in, it goes away. Now, one thing I should mention to you too is with the state, okay? And I'm going to literally Google this, HTML option list for states, okay? And USA, this is good, this will work. All right, I'm going to grab this, all of this stuff, copy that to the clipboard, go back to here. All right, where I've got this input, this is all going to be changed to this. There's going to be a lot more code here because there's 50 states. All right, so let me move this up. Tab. Why is it, there it goes, that tabbed over. And tab this. All right, now let's see what I did. You saw exactly what this state looked like just a minute ago right there, but I'm going to refresh, and now notice. All right, and you notice I'd have to do a little bit of wordsmithing, etc. I'm going to have to move that over, etc. But you get the idea. I now have all my states where I can choose any state I want to choose. Okay. I might be, I don't know if it'll work or not, but I'm just going to put in here. So ideally what you see from this is that we have to match a pattern. All right, and regular expression is all about pattern matching. Now they show in the book here some patterns. There's a zip code, and that's the one I use. There's phone number patterns. There's all sorts of different patterns. And if you go out to the regular-expression.info that I showed you, you'll be introduced to a lot of that. If you want some of the common patterns, you can also go out here. This is an international site too, meaning that it will show you an American phone number, an English phone number, or whatever. So they've got some examples. I'm just going to leave those as they are. I didn't put a phone number in mine. All right. Data list is next. And with a data lists have a value, which is the value of an option in the data list that are left aligned, and a description that's right aligned. So you'll notice that what you have in here is it's a drop-down list, and you can put in there whatever it is you want. And then typically what you can also do in these data lists, let's say that I typed in, for example, a G right here. It should then find Google because it's got G's in it, not Yahoo, not Ask, but it should find Bing as well. So you can use the HTML5 data list element to define a data list that appears under a field to help the user as she or he begins typing. It's kind of like the Google Auto Suggest feature. To associate a control with a data list, you use the list attribute of the control. You set it to the ID of the data list element. To define the items, you use option elements. Again, that's what they showed here. To select an option, you can click on it with the mouse, or you can use the up or down arrow keys. All right. Most browsers seem to support this too. Now, a couple more things that are in here. All right. What if we went back into our form here? We've got all of our good stuff, and let's get rid of that password field. And let's replace it with a field that's called email. All right, and I'm going to keep, for now at least, I'm going to keep the type as text, but the password will be this, and this will say enter email here. All right. Now, if I do it this way, which is not correct, watch how this password field changes. See, it changed to email, enter email here, but I can type in hello. All right. As long as I got something in here, etc. Okay, so as long as I've got something in all those fields and I click submit, everything worked. Now, the problem with that is putting hello in for an email makes literally no sense. All right, so it should not have accepted that, even though it did. So to fix that, what I have to do is I have to change the type from text to email. All right, now when I come back in here and refresh my form, okay, well, I was going to do this too. I don't know if this will work or not, but right before we have after state, where is that? So after the label, I was going to come in here and try to put in about 3 blank spaces and see if that would move it over. Don't know if that'll work or not work, so I'm going to check. Try to move this over. That isn't too bad. Probably could have just done 2, and I need a blank space after it. Looks nicer, at least, than it did look. Let's try 2, and we'll put a blank space here. Well, I put the blank space in the wrong place, but yep, I did. That blank space should go here. Another one there. So let's try that. That isn't too bad. A little more space there than there is here. I could fix that with some CSS, but I'm just trying to basically get this done, for lack of better words. Okay? All right. So with that email, if we did come back in there and we change this, so where's our email? There it is. To type equal email, watch how it changes. Now when I come in here and put all this in and start typing in Jeff, you notice it automatically filled in my email too. All right, but if I just say JP Scott, just like that, and I click submit, now notice, please include an @ sign in the email. JP Scott is missing an @ sign. All right, so there you go. All right. URL can be used as a control for receiving a URL, and tell can be used for putting in a phone number. The email and URL controls are supported by most browsers. Safari might give limited support, but the tell control doesn't really work right now. Just so you know that. There's the email, very similar to what I showed you. The number and range controls, again, I'm just going to use their examples because it doesn't work well with a pizza order form. But the min is the minimum value that you can enter. The max is the maximum value you can enter. And step is how much you want it to step up. So if this was 1 and this was 100 and you kept the normal step, every time you click it, it would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to 100. If you want to do it by tens, you could start it with 10 and go to 100 and step by 10, where you just get 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Where this is typically used is in something like this. All right. So the minimum minimum is 100. The maximum is 1,000. It steps by 100, and the default is 300. Okay, so you can see all that. You can work with date and time controls as are shown on 408 and 409, where max is the maximum value to be entered for the date or the time, and min is the minimum value. Okay, when you use these, you're going to end up getting the date picker control for something like this. All right, and you'll also have a time thing in here. I could do this, I mean, again, it doesn't make much sense for something like a pizza form, but if I was doing something like a birth date, maybe I wanted the birth date, maybe I wanted the birth time or something like that. Having a search control for a search function, well, notice if I type in jQuery as they show, you know how to use that with Google. Well, you could have your own thing in here. And if you did that, we could make sure that what was put in there was, for lack of better words, we could have our own search engine and we could put our own values that came up. All right, so we're talking a little bit about the search function capability. Okay, there's also a color picker that you can set up. And when you do that, it'll bring up a color picker, so the color palette that looks like this. Again, some of these things won't have a lot of uses, some will. Okay? If you decided you were doing an e-commerce site and somebody was filling out something, let's say they were going to buy, you were going to make them, I don't know, whatever, a hat. All right, and you might ask what color hat that you want them to, hat's probably not a great example, but hopefully you get the idea. Chrome, Firefox, and Opera support this, and I think it's got limited support right now from IE. For can also be used to associate an output element with one or more form controls. Show an example here. Name equal result for X, Y. Okay, so in other words, that's allowing you to do the addition. I don't know why you'd want to use something like that, but again, as always, it depends. All right, it depends on the circumstances. okay, and exactly what it is you're trying to do. For progress and meter, there's a progress element, there's a meter element. These controls are designed to display data in a progress bar or a meter form. In the example that's here, JavaScript is actually used, so we're going to talk about that in Chapter 15. All right. All browsers except Safari support the progress element, and all except IE and Safari support the meter element. So the chapter ends by going over a form here, and you can see what's in here. So the author has got, a bunch of fields, and whatever is required that you didn't fill in, you can see how you get the error message. All right. So the form uses many of the HTML5 controls that we presented or were presented in the chapter. If the controls are formatted and aligned with CSS, so you can see it's got a very professional looking field. There is right there, we've got a field set with a legend, another field set with a legend, another field set with a legend, another field set with a legend. Form validation is done by using required attributes, regular expressions, email, date, and number controls. Autofocus is set up so that it automatically goes there, and placeholder attributes are used in certain places. So the associated HTML is shown on page 421. And they do mention that this example shows some of the limitations of using just HTML5 data validation. All right. And that's one of the reasons why JavaScript is typically used to do client-side data validation. We'll talk about that in the JavaScript portion of the class. And even though you might be validating all this stuff on the client side, when you send it over to the server, you end up revalidating it. We'll talk about that when we get to the JavaScript portion of the class. All right, so we're just about finished here. So here's the CSS on page 423, and I think that's just about it. All right, so when I come back, I will be going over Chapter 12. And Chapter 12 is on how to use audio and video in your website. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Probably, at least, I will build another simple page where we'll put some of this stuff in there. It's a relatively short chapter. So I'll be coming back with that shortly.